We've got Yes Bank numbers. Those are the first cut. Before we go back to our analysts, let's go to Kiran Mazumdar Shaw, Chairman and Managing Director at Biocon, on the company's Q4 numbers. Kiran, always great talking to you. You've reported a stellar set of numbers, and there has been a boost because of exceptional items as well. Take us through the highlights of what is the picture that's emerging for you from these numbers.
So if you look at our, quarterly numbers, we've had a very strong showing this quarter. We have actually, seen a very robust growth this quarter. And as you've seen, although the exceptional income, sort of basically surges the net profit, even if you were to exclude the exceptional income, we have delivered 105 crore net profit this quarter. And this is on top of one of the highest R&D spends ever. We have actually incurred 100 crores at a net level and 152 crores at a gross level this quarter. So if you were to look at our core business, it has actually jumped, with net margins at a very healthy level of 34% this quarter. So I think if you look at the business overall, it has done extremely well this quarter, and even at the whole year numbers will tell you that the same story is reflected in the fact that our R&D spends have increased significantly to between 12 to 18% of our biopharma revenues, again reflecting the investments we're making in R&D for our biosimilars and other programs that are in the pipeline. And as you know, one of the biggest highlights this quarter was the Japanese approval of our insulin Glargine. We are all set to basically file several dossiers for our global biosimilar development programs, starting with pegfilgrastim, insulin Glargine, trastuzumab and adalimumab this coming fiscal. So I think we are very well poised to address strong, robust growth. Also going forward, we will be basically, segmenting our business reporting based on the new INDAS reporting system, and we will be reflecting our biologics business, our small molecules business, our branded formulations business and our research services business separately, so that you will get much greater optics on how our biologics business is driving growth for the company.
Right. Kiran, take us through the picture that is emerging on the contract research services, which is Syngene really, because you've seen a 32% year-on-year growth over there. Are you confident of maintaining that kind of a record?
Well, Syngene, of course, has had a stellar quarter. As you rightly said, 32% year-on-year growth. I'm sure they are well positioned to, deliver a strong growth momentum. I think they are certainly very confident of delivering a sort of a 20% level kind of year-on-year growth going forward. But I'm sure there are many, many opportunities for Syngene to try and see how they can basically sustain such strong growth. They have, seen a lot of increase in marquee client business. They are focusing on new offerings. They are also gaining a lot of traction on bespoke, large-scale custom synthesis and their clinical services business. So I think they're in a very good position to deliver strong growth.
Kiran, this has been a quarter of some big announcements for you. I'm going to talk about Glargine, which you spoke about. You got the approval of this insulin in the Japanese market. It marks your foray. Japan is a massive market. What are you penciling in the next couple of quarters, and by when will it start kicking in really?
So, the Glargine, the Japanese approval will see our Glargine in the Japanese market in the first half of this fiscal. That is what our partners, Fujifilm Pharma, have indicated. But more importantly, this also opens up many more markets for us, because the Japanese approval will see us enter other very large emerging markets like South Africa, Russia, Turkey, and many other markets, Brazil, which up until now was becoming very difficult to get entry into, because they did want, more, sort of internationally benchmarked dossiers to be submitted for approval. And we believe that this particular approval will certainly open the door for us in these markets. As you know, the global Glargine market is upwards of $8 billion. It is the second biggest, drug in terms of its blockbuster profile. And we are addressing a very large addressable market globally. Our filings in US and Europe will happen this fiscal. But as you know, that goes then into a review process. So it will take a couple of years before we actually get into these markets. But until that time, I think we have large opportunities in emerging markets. And of course, Japan will be another important market for us.
Right. I have my colleague Shraddha, Kiran, who wants to ask you some questions as well. Shraddha?
Hi, Kiran. Just as Mini said, you have, of course, the Glargine opportunity in Japan this year. But there are multiple opportunities that could be unlocking for Biocon this year. So FY17 should be an exciting year for you. We are expected to see many regulatory filings in the EU and US. So it's going to be a busy year for you in terms of laying the groundwork. But revenue upsides from all the R&D and filings are only expected to come in FY18.
That's true. It is going to come in FY18, but I think what is important is that in the interim, you are going to see strong, growth coming from our biologics pipeline. And as I mentioned, you will start getting some optics on how this is driving both margins and top-line growth for us, from next quarter onwards, from this first quarter of FY17.
What's the progress with respect to
in terms of our reporting?
Okay. What's the progress with respect to the Malaysian insulin facility? If you could tell us when it is likely to get commercialized?
So, we are preparing to basically sign an offtake agreement with the Malaysian government in terms of our insulins for supplies to the Malaysian government itself. So we are getting ready for tenders from the Malaysian facility. But, supplying to other markets or the, US and European markets, as you rightly said, is only going to take place FY18 and beyond. So right now we will still be focused on supplying emerging markets and catering to large global tenders from emerging markets in FY17.
Kiran, what's the outlook as far as the Indian branded formulations are concerned? That business grew just 2% in FY16. Do you really expect the product rationalization pain to continue into FY17 also?
No, the product rationalization is mostly complete now, and that's why you're seeing such a flat performance in the branded formulations business, because we've shed a large number of brands. We are now focusing on our diabetology, oncology, nephrology, and immunology areas in a very specialized way. And I think going forward, you will now start seeing growth from this baseline.
Okay, and what does the margin trajectory look like, given that your R&D costs will be seeing an upward trend on account of the advancement of the drug pipeline, your ANDA filing costs that we are likely to see in FY17, plus you have your ongoing capex. So even if you could guide us with respect to the trajectory at least.
So I think you will see that even this fiscal, we have had a very significant R&D spend, and you can see that we have spent between 15 to 20% at a biopharma revenue level. And this is a very significant R&D spend which will continue at the 15 to 18% levels going forward. And I think we can sustain it given the very strong margins that we can realize from our biosimilars business globally. So we believe that although you will see R&D spend sustained at this level, the better performance and better margin, realization from our growing biosimilars business will allow us to basically see us maintain a good run rate in terms of both top line, and of course we will be able to at a core business level, have a better earnings showing.
Right, Kiran, always great talking to you. Thank you so much for joining us with an update on the Biocon numbers. That's Kiran Mazumdar Shaw for you. And let's quickly glance through the markets. We've